I'm Bob Coleman. We're talking Main Street and the small business lenders who help it grow. Lance Sexton in an undisclosed location in Arkansas and Katie Witucky.
Yeah.
Welcome all. We have a lot of information. Hey, go back, Joseph. I'd like to go back to the certificate. Be sure and say these, that this is training. It counts as training, and someone should be tracking what you're doing on that. And you can give those to your SBA and your auditors, and that they want to know what you're doing. So let's go to the poll questions. What are your SBA loan portfolio expectations for the remainder of 2020? And for ease, we'll go calendar year. Answer whatever you want. Calendar, go ahead, Lance.
I'm incredibly excited to see what the results are, Bob, because right now, if you ask me, I'd say unsure.
Close, all over the button.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, the PPP cannibalized 7A a little bit, probably also 504. So that's interesting. They're all over the board, Lance.
And I don't think PPP cannibalized it from a perspective of opportunities. I just think the COVID-19 situation certainly slowed down any plans people may have had for growth, or at least made them back up and think about it before they submitted their proposal. And financial institutions as well are stepping back and saying, you know, the impact of COVID-19 on small business borrowers, how does that impact our underwriting? How does that impact what types of industries we're interested in? It's an interesting environment that we're in.
Hey, Joseph, because of all the changes, let's ask a poll question tomorrow, which is, have you adjusted your budget for 2020? I'd be sort of interested to see what those results are. Second question. What is, shame on us, what are the best new rules and guidance for the PPP Flexibility Act? There's no wrong answer here, is there, Lance?
No, and you know, Bob, I lean toward, I'm going to give everybody a chance to click a button, but I lean toward the extended forgiveness. I think that's a great thing for small business, and I think lowering the percentage on payroll, would have loved to have seen it lowered more. You know, an alternate question, Bob, is which one do you like the least? And I'm going to guess 5-year maturity is probably the one most institutions like the least.
Yeah, that's a good stuff.
Well, and the situation is, if the borrower gets forgiveness, who cares if there's no 5-year maturity? I mean, it's going to get paid back and go away through forgiveness. But for those who don't get forgiven, I don't think financial institutions are too excited about a 5-year 1% deal. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hey, Katie, welcome. Tell us, give us a quick recap of where we are on the Flexibility Act. It's interesting. Both of you we track our numbers closely. We obviously want to have content that makes sense. But Lance, a lot of people take off on Fridays.
Yeah.
Including you.
Well, and the fun part about a Monday, Bob, when we first clicked on, of course, guys, we're all, Bob, Katie, Joe, Mike, and I are on early. And I was looking at the numbers, and then all of a sudden there was an explosion of people that jumped on board today. But Bob, I took Friday off as well.
To log in right at the top of the hour. I know it's a pet peeve of mine where I log onto a webinar and someone comes and says, we're going to wait 5 more minutes for other people to join us. You know what? Several hundred of you are on time, and that's when we start. So anyway, give us a recap, Katie, on what's going on with the PP Flexibility Act. Trump signed it on Friday, correct?
He did. He signed it Friday morning, and so that's supposed to go into effect shortly. We got a notice from the SBA and Treasury over the weekend who said that they were going to work promptly to get us an updated application, some updated guidance, an updated forgiveness form. That stuff we should all get very shortly.
And give us the highlights. What are the main highlights on that, in case
someone's... Well, it sounds like everybody knows about the forgiveness being extended to 24 weeks. Originally, that was 8 weeks. Something else that they did was the 75% rule got adjusted and it's now 60. So before you had to spend 75% on payroll, now they only have to spend 60. It helped with the safe harbor rule. Not a lot of people did say that was their favorite rule, but I'm sure it was more favorable than the increase in the 5-year maturity, as Lance was just discussing. And then they, of course, extended the deferral period. And at the end of the notice, they did note that June 30th remains the last day on which a PPP loan application can be approved. So that's still in place.
Lance, we still get questions on point 2. How do we calculate that 60%? What's our baseline? How do we do that? Give us the logistics.
Well, the application itself, when it's revised, of course, the application as it exists probably will work, just understanding the different percentage, but included in payroll would be your normal payroll expenses, as well as you can include contributions to retirement and contributions to health care or health insurance. In calculating that 60%. Now, I think this helps, especially those businesses that have been closed. They have a little more money to pay rent and utilities, but 60% is supposed to be payroll plus
But
health
as
insurance.
of what date, Lance? As of that February 15th date or calendar year 2019? What number do we use?
You're talking about the payroll?
60%. Yeah. I mean, how do I calculate the
Well,
60%?
that's going to be during the covered period, which obviously the covered period was extended. I had a phone call from somebody Friday afternoon. They're like, did he sign it? Did he sign it? Because they still had a little money left to spend and were concerned about their covered period. And, of course, when the president signed it, they went ahead and went on their trip, and he's going to do the payroll next week. Obviously, forgiveness is much easier if the small business was able to spend their money on payroll. But I am looking forward to the new application to see if it becomes a little more user-friendly, because I know they have to have gotten feedback. This is a small business owner completing this application. It's got a lot of, it's like the old story I told Bob. I've worked in SBA my whole life since 1983. I took a job as deputy director at SBA, go into my first management meeting, and come out with a legal pad full of acronyms that I had to look up the next day to figure out what everyone was talking about.
That was pre-internet. You had to do some research on that.
Yeah, I had to figure that out. But for small business owners, I'm hoping we see a simplified application. Congressman from Arkansas, French Hill, proposed simplified forgiveness for loans under $350. I really hope that gets consideration and picks up, some legs, because the small business owner that got a $10,000 PPP loan, Bob, they should not have to go through that complicated forgiveness form for a loan of that size. Even 10,
Well,
20,
we're waiting
50.
for guidance, and hopefully someone's listening to your preaching. And I agree with you. There's a difference level between a $10,000-$15,000 forgiveness versus a $400,000 forgiveness.
Well, and I think I saw statistical information. Katie, you might help me with this, but I think 72% of all the PPP loans were under $350. It may have been a higher percentage. Yeah, so it would simplify the lives of the participant lending institutions that are involved in PPP forgiveness, and more importantly, it would take that small business owner who's trying to do the best they can to be successful in a difficult environment and take something off of their plate. Meaning, example, rent expense. If you paid rent expense, Bob, you got to dig up your lease. And if you've been in business for 20 years, when's the last time you saw that lease? Probably 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So
we got some questions. Let's go ahead and bring those in here since we're talking about Flexibility Act. Paul asked, we have a situation where there are banks, mostly non-bank lenders, that submitted things into the system during round one, and they still haven't booked the loan. These clients are now going to other banks, i.e. Paul's bank, and when they go into the system, it says you can only have one PPP loan. Is SBA doing anything about that? I don't think we have the answer to that, but it is what it is, right?
Well, the reality is the participant lending institution didn't fund it. If they go in the system and cancel it, then another institution could pick it up and do it, and you would not get that same message. But those non-bank lenders who blew tons of applications into the SBA system and got approvals, I don't think they have the same bulk submission process for cancellation. So if somebody's in the system with a legitimate PPP SBA loan number and that institution has not canceled it, they need to put a hard press on whoever got the approval for them to go ahead and fund the loan.
Beverly asked the question. I'm not confused by the question. I'm confused by the answer. Is the bank required to use the new 60-month term on all PPP loans approved after June 4th, or can we continue to use the original 24-month?
Oh, yes. After the signature on the bill, the 5-year term is PPP. Any new PPP loans will have a 5-year term.
Okay. But they can always pay off early, though, right?
Yeah, the loans that have already been booked, PPP loans that, do not give forgiveness, the 2-year term is still in play. But the borrower could come to a participant lending institution and say, hey, I really need 5 years to be able to pay it back. And if they both agree, they could modify it to 5 years, and the bank could do a E-Trans servicing action. But in terms of any new PPP loan, they're going to have a 5-year term.
Kathy asked a logistical question about the 6-4-6-5 dates. How should we write the note? Are you familiar with that, Lance?
I'm not sure what she's asking. No.
How are the notes reading to when principal and interest payments are due?
Well, you got 6-month deferment, and then the principal payments would start in that 7th month.
Yeah, and we've established, Raman, that we cannot get a second PPP loan, correct, Lance?
No.
Okay, but we can get an economic disaster loan on top of this, right? We can do that. We can go that route. And you can also go...
Many small businesses got the EIDL loans and the PPP loan. You also do an express loan or 7A loan if they need additional funding.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Tell us about numbers, Katie.
Right. So last week we got the numbers at the end of the week, and I'm kind of glad they gave us this again this week so we can kind of see how fast everything's moving. In comparison, if you don't remember what last week is, over this past week, we did about 65,000 new loans. That number went up. And $1.1 billion were approved. And 4 new lenders were added to this list as well. And just to confirm what Lance was saying earlier, how many small businesses were using such a small percentage of this, 80% of the loans are under $150,000.
Yeah, very good. MetLife and U.S. Chamber wrote a coronavirus impact report. What is your reporting, Katie?
Right, so it is looking a little bit more positive. I've been following up with MetLife and the Chamber of Commerce. They've been reporting about every month since this started to kind of give a good idea to us about what's going on Main Street and how things are going. And I'm happy to say that more small businesses are open. 79% of small businesses are now either fully or partially open. However, 1 in 5 are still closed either temporarily or permanently, which is a regret. But hopefully we'll see some things open back up even more as the coronavirus starts to ebb and things start getting better.
I'm sorry, finish, Katie, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. The number of small businesses reporting that they are very concerned has also gone down. It's now 43%. It was 10% higher last month and 15% higher the month before. So that is going down pretty fast. It's still not, nobody's saying they're not concerned, but it's definitely going down that they're very concerned. And 24% of small businesses now rate the U.S. economy as good, whereas it was 21 last month. So things are looking slightly better this month.
Yeah, I mean, this is, we're staring into a black hole, but Lance and I and Katie, our job is to put things into context. This is not Great Recession type of panic. Great Recession, credit just dried up. You couldn't get credit.
Mm-hmm.
Here, the credit is available. Great Recession, a lot of people lost their jobs, but there was no hope on the horizon that they could get their jobs back or open their businesses. Here, we have a different situation. Yeah, things are, if you look at stark numbers, things are bleak, but there's a lot of positives on the horizon that account for that drop in very concerned levels.
One thing that I wanted to point out, we had a significant drop in unemployment during the month of May. I would venture to say that PPP had a tremendous impact on those unemployment numbers. Nothing, the articles I read didn't even reference that PPP likely caused that dramatic swing in unemployment, but my personal belief is it probably was a majority of the positive change in unemployment in America.
Yeah, I think that's an astute observation. Obviously, we all talk to our customers. I talk to the small business people I've been able to bond with here in Orange County, and a couple of restaurant owners, and they're bullish. One was able to open up last week, and they're not quite where they want to be, but they're optimistic about the future.
Absolutely.
This is an in the weeds stuff. We got an email from SBA. Katie, what's the background of this, and do you know what's going on?
So we luckily didn't go too much in depth with this last week, and it's a good thing because the SBA is now saying that the procedural notice has some errors in it, some incorrect information. So this has to do with EDIL refinancing with PPP loans, and the SBA will be updating that notice and sending us out what the new information actually should be.
Yeah, and SBA was kind enough to alert us to take that down, which we did. Mm-hmm. The errors were on SBA's. I hate to throw SBA under the bus, but obviously there was issues. I don't really know what the issues are, other than we're going to get a new notice on this, Lance.
Well, you need accurate guidance on this, Bob, because the refinance of EIDL loans in the PPP program, I think, has been a area of heartburn for a lot of potential participant lenders and probably a lot of small businesses. Just understanding how you would do it, a lot of people have questions in that area.
Yeah,
so
and
clarity
we're expecting a ton of guidance to be coming down from SBA from that. And as I've said, I'd rather be in this situation where they're updating guidance as opposed to making the black box perfect and holding it off for 3 months. Hey, Lance, give us a preview of what you're going to be talking about on webinars this month.
Well, it's exciting, guys, to get back to some normal webinars, but very important webinars, what to do when your SBA loan becomes delinquent, how to service your SBA loan, what kinds of things do you need to think about. And I think this is such important training, Bob, because all these small business borrowers are going to come off of a period of 6 months worth of payments made by SBA. What happens after that? So sharpening your tools in your toolkit in terms of handling a delinquent loan is important, and then follow that up with how to get paid on a purchase demand kit. We're all participant lenders. We all rely on the guarantee that SBA provides. Now, we need to know how to get paid on a PDK. And as you know, Bob, these are two of my favorite webinars, so I'm excited to get back to some of those.
Well, the thing also, there's still customers that you have that are in deferment, but they haven't opened up, and obviously the handwriting is on the wall. Maybe you've been told they can't open up, or there's issues there. Now is the time to start putting together that package and to determine if there's any holes in your documentation and to solve those issues.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And remember, the best way, let's say that you're missing documents, is you could also have the conversation, which a lot of borrowers don't know about what's the term I'm using? I'm blanking, not forgiveness, but to offer in compromise, Lance.
Yep. That you're going to start hearing that word. Offer and compromise is something that I never really thought about until that last recession, and I was working for SBA, and OICs were hot button items.
Yeah,
and
you can quickly turn an adversarial relationship with the borrower to say, hey, we can help.
And my favorite, Bob, is the workout as opposed to the OIC. Right. But guys, these are the workout and the OIC are things we're going to hear a lot more about in the coming year.
Let's see, a bunch of other questions. I may have to hold some over tomorrow. Again, we keep getting this question, which means we're not clear on our end. I'll take responsibility for that. How is the full-time equivalency requirement calculated? The number for the last week of the 8-week period or a steady number over 2019? Tony.
The full-time equivalency start is at the time of the PPP application. And
the application or the February 15th date?
February 15th date. But your full-time equivalency start count is then, and then your full-time equivalency ending count will occur at the end of the covered period.
Jared says, will we submit these forgiveness apps in E-Tron? We don't know yet, Jared. We don't have guidance.
Jared, great question. And if I were sitting at your computer, desktop, laptop, iPhone, whatever you're on, I would ask the same question, Jared. Great question.
Yeah. Norlene asked, where can one get the best guidance for forgiveness for a one-person LLC? Again, we're waiting on that. And another forgiveness question. Very good. Oh, Joseph, go back a slide. If you're interested in ordering our report, you can do it online. We have a link, or just send an email to Joseph. He'll be happy to bill you as well. And with that, Katie, you got a last thought for us?
Well, I'm looking forward to this week and all the guidance we're getting, and hopefully we get some clearance. And I'm really proud of small business lenders helping out the Main Street.
Yeah, it's very good. Well, thank you for joining us today for the Coleman Report live show and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time. See you tomorrow.